Week 9 of the college football season is in the books. We didn't have too many crazy upsets. I mean, pretty much no upsets. But we'll still recap everything that happened because we did have some interesting games. We're going to start off with Indiana beating the Washington team. Washington Huskies, I should say. How is this Indiana team so goddamn good? It was a trap spread. I got this game right. I had Indiana to win. I had Indiana to cover. But it was a trap game. I kind of fell for the trap, yet they still covered and won. This team is a powerhouse. A powerhouse. They may not lose another game. And yes, I know they have to play Ohio State. But with the way Ohio State's been playing, I mean, shit. Indiana might actually beat them. Just when you think Washington is making their way back into this game, Indiana just punches them straight in the throat and beats them and continues to bully them every which way possible. A lot of people are saying Indiana's fraud. They haven't played too many good teams. To a certain extent, I see where they're coming from, but it's too early to call them frauds. The way they've been playing, they're 8-0. They are just an unstoppable powerhouse. At this rate, they are going to make the college football playoff. They really are. Unbelievable. Let's see how they fare against Ohio State, but god damn it. Indiana is looking amazing right now. Amazing. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is slowing this team down. Great win for Indiana. As for Washington, you're 4-4. Season's over. I mean, in terms of playoff at least. You're definitely not making the playoffs, that's for sure. You know, you wish you had Penn this year, right? But what are you going to do? Indiana, keep doing you and keep bullying teams. And I honestly would not mind if you beat Ohio State. That would be funny as hell. But we'll get there when we get there because, Ohio State has another super difficult game coming up next week. But good shit, Indiana. You impressed the hell out of me. And I know a lot of people that lost a lot of money betting on Washington because it's a trap spread. I didn't bet this game at all because I didn't want anything to do with it. But damn it, Indiana, you are fucking good. You are good. Next game. This one was good. Nebraska versus Ohio State. I had Nebraska, whatever it was, plus 26, plus 25. And I get why they were such big underdogs because the week before they got their ass handed to them by Indiana. But god damn it. It was too many points for an overrated Ohio State team. I'm going to keep saying it. Ohio State is not that good. Not only was this game pretty goddamn close. I mean, Ohio State only won by 4 points. But Nebraska, at one point in time, honestly looked like they were going to win this game. And worst of all, at the end of the first half, Nebraska did end up getting a field goal. But go back and watch that last minute of the first half. The refs screwed Nebraska out of a first down, made them waste like 20 seconds. It was a mess. I'm not saying Nebraska was going to score a tutty on that drive, but imagine if they did. Game would have been a lot different, and score would have been a lot different, considering you should have added 4 extra points because instead of a field goal, they would have got a touchdown, and you do the math yourselves, right? I know you guys can do math. It would have been a tie game. Again, we're not playing this hypothetical bullshit. Nebraska lost, Ohio State won, but Ohio State did not win the way they wanted to win. They play like this against better teams. Like, for example, they're playing Penn State next week. They play the way they played this week against Penn State next week. Penn State's going to dog walk them. We'll get there when we get there, though. I still have faith in Nebraska. They're not making the playoff at this point. I mean, the 3 losses is going to be a little bit tough. But they have a lot of upside. If they manage to keep this Raiola kid and none of the big schools steal him away, they're going to be a good team next year. I see them competing with these big teams. Again, I'm going to keep betting on them in these big spreads. 25 points was too many points for the Cornhuskers. It was too many. That's why I got them against the spread and they covered for me. Ohio State, you are on fraud alert. I'm going to keep saying it. You are on fraud alert. Not as good as people think. I don't even want to call it a good win for Ohio State. It was a lucky win for Ohio State. You're lucky that you scrapped your way out of this game because at one point in time, it really looked in that third quarter, or fourth quarter as well, Nebraska was going to take this one. It really did. And I was hoping for that upset. But Ohio State won, and they better get prepared because this next week's game is going to be a toughie. But we'll get there when we get there. Next game, Oklahoma versus Ole Miss. In my opinion, Oklahoma played better than I expected. But at the same time, while you can say, yes, Oklahoma played better than expected, you can also play Ole Miss just shit the bed. They continue to look fraudulent as hell. They're 6-2, but they have not looked good. Not at all. They did not cover this game. They only won by 12. I think the spread was like 20. They did win, but they didn't cover. What are you going to do, Ole Miss? I mean, Oklahoma. We'll start with Oklahoma. Oklahoma's done. They've been done. They're 4-4 in the SEC. Kiss the playoffs goodnight. Motherfuckers may not even be fucking in the bowl at this point. They probably will, but nevertheless. Ole Miss, the actual team we need to talk about. You have a strong roster. Good coaching with Kiffin. But you just continuously don't meet expectations. And I don't give a fuck if you won by 12. You're playing Oklahoma. You should win by 40. Especially with that offense and Jackson Dart. Not a great performance from Ole Miss. I'm not convinced that they are as good as I thought they were, at least preseason. And they're playing Georgia soon. And they may get exposed very easily against Georgia. Now, I wouldn't mind if they beat Georgia. Don't trust me. I would not mind if they beat Georgia. But the way they've been playing is not good enough. They need to step their game up if they think they're going to A, make the playoffs, B, beat Georgia, and C, be a decent team in the SEC. Because right now, I wouldn't even call them the third or even fourth best team in the SEC with Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, and shit. Even after last week's performance, I'd say Bama is better than them right now, even though Bama's just as shitty as they are. Ole Miss, step your game up. It was a good win, but not good enough. Good teams win, great teams cover. Always remember that. Next game. Illinois versus Oregon. I would have won 4 digits. 4 digits in the money range if Illinois covered this goddamn spread. They played so fucking bad. And especially in that second half where Oregon stopped scoring and stopped just bullying them. This fucking Altmaier kid, or however you pronounce his fucking name, the quarterback for Illinois, I swear he's working for Vegas. The amount of opportunities he had to fucking score 1 goddamn touchdown. 1! And he just continuously fell short. 9 points is inexcusable. Oregon's a great team, offensively. Their defense is decent. I mean, it's better than the prior year Oregon defenses. But you need to score more than 9 points, especially for a team that was 6-1, now 6-2. I'm the personal bias here, because I fucking lost out on a lot of money here. I'm pissed at Illinois that these motherfuckers couldn't cover for me. But I still have faith in the Illinois team. They're not going to make the playoff, most likely than not, but they're a good team. Dangerous as well. Don't sleep on Illinois still. They had a bad performance, but more so a little bit of an offensive spark, and they would have done so much better, considering Oregon couldn't do nothing in the second half. But nevertheless, Oregon, 8-0, number 1 in the country, without a doubt now. Looking good. Looking really good. This was a big win. It was a strong win, and it was a win that you needed. Oregon could go undefeated. They really can. And this team is looking really strong. I do have some concerns about Dylan Gabriel and how he will play against a little bit of a bigger defense. Specifically, I'm talking like SEC defenses. So again, it comes down to matchups and how the playoff falls and who they get matched up with. Because if they have to play, like, for example, 2 SEC defenses, or like potentially have to play 2 SEC defenses, Oregon could be in trouble. Could be in real trouble. Because in the playoffs, I don't think they're going to have these offensive masterclasses. It's going to be much more of a methodical game in the playoffs, more similar to how NFL playoff goes, where, defenses really step up when it comes time to step up, and it's more of a defensive running show than it is an offensive shootout, right? Good win for Oregon. Y'all continue to win. Y'all continue to dominate. But I want to see you under the bright lights. Illinois is a good win, but it's not a top-tier win. It's like a mid-tier win. You dominated them for the first half, but you didn't do well enough in the second half. And you're lucky, again, as I say, this fucking Altmaier kid was getting paid off by Vegas to fucking throw the spread for Illinois. I'm done talking about the fucking spread with Illinois. Next game before I fucking cry. Alabama versus Missouri. Oh, good Lord. I don't give a fuck if the fucking Cook kid got injured. Alabama needed this win and needed this cover. And they came out there and absolutely bullied Missouri. I had Missouri to cover. I did lose this game. And god damn it was I wrong. 34-0. They put up a bagel against Alabama. What a shit performance from Missouri. Absolutely fucking horrible. They should be ashamed of themselves. Never show their faces in the SEC ever again. I mean, look. They're a decent team. They're still at 6-2, but this continuous underwhelming performances have to stop. We can't act like Alabama's all that because look at their last 3 weeks prior to this one. They were losing against the spread left and right and just overall did not look good. This game, they did what they had to do. The defense stepped up and balled out. What an amazing defensive performance. Anytime you leave a team at 0, especially on the college level, that was an amazing defensive performance. As well as offense. Milroe did what he had to do, played well enough. Alabama bullied the Missouri team from start to finish. Dominance across all positions, every position group. It was a great win for Alabama. And it was an important win for Alabama because they're getting their morale back, they're getting their confidence back, and they need to start rolling a bit because you can't allow, these slip-ups against teams like Missouri or South Carolina or any of these teams that, even Vanderbilt that they lost to. Alabama, keep doing what you're doing, but I don't know if you'll be able to do this against a better team because Missouri has been fraud checked multiple times this year. Even when they won the game, they've been fraud checked. Missouri's not as good as their record says. They could easily be 4-4 as they are 6-2. Easily. Alabama, you did what you got to do. Next game. I'll talk about this one quick. I didn't predict this one, but I just want to kind of rant on a quick little topic here. Texas versus Vanderbilt. I'm sure as you all know by now, I have a lot of money riding on Texas to win the Natty, so I'm a big Texas guy this season. Again, I'm not going to evaluate the game itself. I just want to quickly say, I really hope that they start Arch over Quinn. Not that Quinn is bad, but he just makes these stupid mistakes all the time. How many goddamn interceptions did he throw in this game? How many goddamn interceptions did he throw against the Vanderbilt defense? And I get it, Vanderbilt's a much better team, but Vanderbilt's defense is not all that. We need to start Arch, and we need to gamble. Saryukian, take a risk, because yours is going to cost you in the playoff. And I don't want that to happen. I really don't. We have some tough games. Texas has some tough games coming up. Real tough games. I think like Florida, Arkansas, and then we end the season at Texas A&M, which is going to be stupid difficult. Oh my God. Start Arch Manning. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. We're going to move on. Florida State versus Miami. Miami dominated them. They didn't cover. It was actually a backdoor cover by Florida State. Typical. Florida State sucks balls. 1-7. There's nothing to talk about with them. I mean, maybe they still have a chance to make the playoffs. I'm just joking. But, yeah, Miami 8-0. But again, you haven't proved anything to me. Beating Florida State means nothing this year. Nothing. I want to see Miami play a good team. A real good team. And I want to see how they fare against them. Because right now, it's not that impressive beating Florida State. It's not. And you couldn't even cover. And I don't care if it was a backdoor cover by Florida State. You should have scored 40 on them if you wanted a goddamn cover instead of this bullshit. Which, by the way, technically, my pick when I made it, the spread was 21 in favor of Miami. The spread ended up moving to 22. So technically, I did actually get this game right. If we want to play the little bitch move, because Miami did win by 22, not 21. So if you had 22, they would have pushed, and not really covered. But if you had 21, they did cover. So, however you want to cut the cookie and shit, I'm taking it as a fucking... I didn't bet this game, but I'm taking it as a fucking win because Miami covered in my book, right? Because I had 21. Still, Miami, I want to see you against a good team. Florida State, your season's been over after that week 1 loss to Georgia Tech, but that's not here nor there. Next game. Michigan State versus Michigan. Early on, I was a bit concerned. It did seem like Michigan State was giving Michigan a few problems, but then the ball started rolling and Michigan really, really turned it up. Did what they had to do. They won the game for me. They covered for me. I like it. I like it. Michigan State is 4-4, and they're as mid as it gets. Michigan is 5-3, and they're also as mid as it gets. In a super competitive Big Ten conference, they are not making it. No chance. Look at the Big Ten this year, man. Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana. 3 of those 4 teams I just named are undefeated still. Come on. With 3 losses, playing the way you play, you're barely getting by Michigan State. You should be beating Michigan State by much more than a touchdown. Again, 2 teams that are not going to make the playoffs. It was a good win for Michigan. I'm glad they covered for me. I'm glad they won. But come on, step your goddamn game up. Step your goddamn game up. Next game, Penn State versus Wisconsin. I thought Wisconsin would keep this game a little bit closer. I was a bit surprised that they lost as badly as they lost. They lost by, 15? Okay, fine. I thought they would cover. They didn't. But they played decent. We'll call it decent. Again, you're playing Penn State, so it was a difficult game in and of itself. I didn't expect much from Wisconsin. I just thought they would keep it a little bit close with the home field advantage. Penn State, holy fuck. This Penn State team is good. They are playing their asses off, and I can't wait. A little spoiler for the college football prediction video. I can't wait for the fucking Penn State Nittany Lions to go and beat the shit out of Ohio State in the name of Jerry Sandusky. Yeah! Penn State played well, and they're going to continue to play well. They're undefeated. I knew they'd be a great team. Go back and watch my week 1 or week 2 video. I've been saying they're going to be like that. Good win, Penn State. I want to see this next week as well, because you need to prove to everybody you are better than those frauds in Ohio. Next game, LSU versus Texas A&M. Weird game. LSU initially looked so good, and I think at one point they were up like 10. I was like, damn, Texas A&M is getting worked right now. I can't believe Texas A&M is going to lose like this at home as well. And I was wrong, because in that second half, Texas A&M kicked it to another gear. The offense started rolling. The defense did what they had to do. It was truly, truly impressive. I got to give a lot of credit to this Texas A&M team. They have looked unstoppable this year. And as someone who wants Texas Longhorns, to go all the way, I am shaking in my boots thinking about the fact that Texas has to go to Texas A&M, Kyle Field, to play them in the last week of the regular season. Shaking in my boots. But that's, again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Texas A&M beat the living shit out of LSU. I don't care. It was 15 points. They beat the living shit out of them, especially when LSU had a good lead at one point. LSU didn't play bad, but again, turnover problems, and they didn't match the level they needed to match in that second half, and that is why they cost them. I'm not overly sold on LSU. I don't want to say they're fraudulent. They're not fraudulent, but they're not as good as you would want them to be. Texas A&M, on the other hand, is as good as you want them to be. They've looked unbelievable since that loss to Notre Dame early in the year. Since then, they have not looked back, just looking unstoppable, man. Unstoppable. Good shit, Texas A&M. Keep doing what you're doing, because, not against Texas Longhorns. Against everyone else, you could fucking bully them. Not against Texas Longhorns, though. It was a good win for Texas A&M. I got to give them a round of applause. You know how it is. two good teams, and Texas A&M is looking like a real threat in the SEC. Real threat. Don't sleep on them. Don't sleep on the Aggies, because there's something about this team. There's something about this team that's brewing, and it could be dangerous come playoff time. We'll see. We'll see. That's all the games that we had to recap for Week 9 of the college football season. It was a great week. Let's hope for an even better one next week.